Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at the Batman, Catwoman, Batman Arkham City 2-pack. Now, why am I reviewing both these characters at once when I typically split things up? Well, very much in the same way that I had to buy Batman to get the Catwoman, I'm willing to make people watch me review Batman so they can see Catwoman reviewed. Because to get your Catwoman, you have to have your Batman. It's like dessert. Kind of. But no, it's probably not a bad Batman. It's just like out of the two characters in this pack. Really wanted the Catwoman, Batman. Yeah. But this will be my first sort of Arkham City Asylum / style Batman. So yeah. The box art is pretty neat. It's got a lot of stuff going on. Very busy packaging. Of course, I would never dream of just leaving these ones in pack because this is a really awesome looking Catwoman, and it's just too awesome to stay in the box. In fact, just glancing at it, I'm half wondering if this may or may not be the best Catwoman figure ever made. But really, that's a judgment I should reserve for once I actually get out of the box and start checking it out. It's also the only 6-inch Catwoman I'm going to have, because I don't have any of the previous ones. Hold on a second and I'll get these out of the box. Alright, let me just start by showing off the sides of the package in case you couldn't see it under the gloss. I mean, I really like when they go and have these extra artworks on the sides and stuff. It's kind of neat. Although, you end up throwing them out anyway. Now, for starters, these figures do seem to be a bit larger than your DC Universe Classics. For scale, I usually bring in Superman, but at the same time, it's probably more appropriate to bring in Batman. They have so many to choose from these days, too. But I've decided to go with the Wave 10 sort of Keaton-esque Batman. As you can see, the Batman included here seems to be a little bit taller. It's not so much taller either, it's just also bigger. Like the head looks like it's somewhat larger. And that's sort of my big problem with the Catwoman as well, because she's way, way, way too tall to be Catwoman. I'm used to the character being a bit shorter than Batman. Granted, she's got heels on and stuff, and why would she be able to even run and do acrobatics in heels? So I'm not thinking that's the most practical choice for a villainous and Catwoman's sort of line, but yeah. So yeah, she is very tall compared to the DC Universe Classics, and even against the Batman, she is pretty tall. I'm going to have to look up her height later. As I said, I'm going to start with the Batman, and I'm sticking to my guns here. For starters, when I first took him out of pack, I was like incredibly worried seeing this. I was thinking, did they design him like this? Is this a defect? And I was like really flipping out and stuff. I was looking at images online. I was thinking, do I write Mattel? Turns out he actually has forearm rotation. But the rotation was kind of stuck in the beginning and I didn't realize that he had it. But yeah, that's pretty neat. In fact, there are a lot of things about this figure that's really cool, and I do sort of regret having apprehensions about getting this one. I mean, granted, I kind of want an Arkham City one or Arkham Asylum Batman, but it wasn't really high on my list of priorities. But he's actually a fairly nice figure. Two things I really don't like about it, though. First up, just the whole sort of general ab crunch region. I'm not so fond of that. It just looks kind of funky. But the bigger issue is the head / face here. Look at those eyes. The expression. He looks incredibly bored. I mean, it's like the blankest face I've seen on pretty much any figure. And that's just kind of weird. I don't know, I think it's mostly just to how they did the eyes. It just looks like he doesn't want to be here. Just showing up, whatever. I don't know. Beyond that, he has one of the coolest, most dynamic capes that I've seen so far. It's got this nice flowing motion to it. Also, in general, I'm not so much a fan of the gray and blue. I much prefer the gray and black look for Batman, or the solid black with a yellow bat logo. All the same, it's pretty decent looking. You'll notice that the figure has all sorts of texturing here for the suit, which, implies that the thing has some level of protection to it, like if he gets hit or something. The suit's going to buffer out some of the damage, unlike, say, the spandex suit that Adam West wore, which, it's basically just hitting your skin. Which is neat. He's also got these really kick-ass gauntlets, which look very high-tech. I recall in the game he touches them to pull up like an image or something, or maybe I'm thinking of Dead Space. No, I know he definitely has some sort of mechanics in there, but I can't remember. After a while, all these kinds of exploration titles sort of start to merge together. Yeah. Actually, I think Dead Space was actually on the suit itself, like you look down into it. Again, neither here nor there. Very nice color blue used. If you look at the belt here, it's kind of neat that it's kind of like the yellow belt that you're sort of used to, but at the same time it's a different color, so it's somewhat reminiscent of the style while being more practical, realistic. It's sort of a gold color, it's got a glittery effect. And all around, it's a decent figure. Besides the head and face, I also really wish they would have given him ankle pivot, just because he doesn't stand very well half the time. And sometimes posing him can be a little difficult, although the cape can help adjust for that. Can also balance him at times. Now, what they've been doing with some of the figures, rather than give toe articulation, because they've never really given toe articulation, they have a slightly bent toe just for when he's stepping forward and stuff, so the foot looks like it's in a more natural position. Although with this, you kind of need a stand to sort of get the moving forward positions. Quick run through of articulation. We have a point of rotation here at the wrist. I really wish they would have done like the ball socket or whatever, but hey. Forearms rotate. Range will become kind of impeded going around, but it's going to be kind of funny going in that direction anyway. Single pin here at the elbow, not a huge range. Full rotation at bicep, ball jointed shoulder. The cape is up enough that it doesn't really impede it in any way. Kind of weird. Plus, it's like a sort of full cape going around. There's no separation like on some of these. It looks like the material goes directly into his, cowl, which again is really awesome. You have a really small range at the ab crunch here. It doesn't go forward much. It should go back a lot more, but I think it's just the cape sort of blocks it after a while. Waist rotates. Legs kick out and to the side as usual. Not a lot of side. Not sure what's up with that. Rotation above knee. Single joint at knee. Then you have this here at the ankle. I don't think, no, it doesn't. It looks almost like the greaves rotate as well, but they don't. All in all, very decent looking Batman. I understand this mold has been reused for all of the Arkham Batmans, I think. They just opt for different colors, so this will probably be the only one I pick up unless I get another 2-pack which has a Batman in it, which I guess is always a possibility. On to Catwoman, who, unlike the Batman, doesn't have pegs and fortunately has a really crappy balance. Also, she's tall. And not just tall, but she's physically large. Like, the limbs seem to have more of a thickness to them than other female figures. And then even like the waist has, more of a thickness. The breasts, however, not so much. Not so much. I mean, if all the proportions to upscale, I think that one would be the priority. But while we're on the subject, it's also where she's weakest in the paint department. You'd expect like some sort of a blush or something for shadowing there. Not present. Granted, I understand this is mass retail, but still, I mean, come on. Gotta do a little bit there. The head sculpt is, I guess, gorgeous, I suppose. Hard to think of a word for it, but they did paint in the glasses rather than, say, use a translucent plastic and then you can see the eyes underneath. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I think one of the other versions, like the DC Direct, might have had... No, the DC Direct had the glasses up top. Alright, just tried to look up the figure I was thinking of. Couldn't find anything. But I am pretty sure it exists. Pretty sure, like maybe 60-65% sure. It's a good sureness ratio. Now, the other thing is, technically they're called goggles, by the way, they're not really glasses. I guess goggles might fall under the glasses category. Yeah. Either way, I was thinking it would be neat too if they just did them as a removable piece, like you can opt to have them down, up, whatever. Although I guess at that point there might be issues regarding implementation. I think I'd probably leave the glasses on anyway, so yeah, it was thought, which meh. Generally speaking, I kind of like the design. Unfortunately, it's going to show up really crappy on camera because it's the solid black with a small amount of gloss. Although some portions on it are actually glossier than others, like the armband here, the areas on the side of the breasts here, all the way down here to the side. So, I mean, it's different colors of black on the outfit, but the fact that it's all one color, it's kind of glossy, sort of obscures the fact that there is detailing on it in a sort of fair amount. I mean, it's definitely a decent looking figure. Again, not really digging the choice of footwear, especially because it means that her balance is off and the posability is kind of crappy. In general, you know, I've always sort of preferred the black leather look for Catwoman, mostly because it's what Michelle Pfeiffer wore back in Batman Returns, and I think that was my first major exposure to the character. As for the whip, which is the only accessory in the set, it's sort of molded into a pattern, but it's soft enough that if you wanted to, you could wind it around, just tape the ends to a figure just to make it look like she's grappling somebody. At the very end, it's got like one of those little bullwhip things where it's got the multiple prongs. I know some whips have them, some whips don't. And then further down here, it's actually a little bit detailed, so it's a nice looking accessory. It's got a loop and stuff, but there's nowhere to actually hang it to the costume, and even if you hypothetically could, I'm not sure if you'd be able to bind it in a... Maybe you could bind it in a realistic manner. Yeah. She can only hold it in her right hand. The other one's an open hand. By the way, I forgot to mention this with the Batman, but he's one of the few Batman figures that has both closed fists. Typically, Batman figures have an open hand for the accessory, which they often include with Batman figures. Not in this case, because he doesn't come with anything. Which is also something of a shame. I'm not sure if the other Batman figures are open hand or closed fist and what they come with, but it's possible they didn't do anything. Which kind of sucks. You know, he does use gadgets in the game, and it's kind of weird seeing Batman without his gadgets. At any rate, not a ton to say about Catwoman here. I mean, yeah, she's a kind of decent figure, not quite the definitive greatest Catwoman figure ever, but the ones that Mattel's done so far, I think she stacks kind of favorably. Because I think they've only done the DC Superheroes version, which was a black outfit, which they redecoed for the Gotham City 5-pack in a purple outfit. Supposedly the arm comes off really easy with that one. I think J-Train or somebody was complaining about theirs. I recall 2 or 3 other reviewers maybe had the same issue. And then we've had, most recently, the classic outfit Catwoman in the Batman Legacy line, which, I don't know, I'm just honestly not really feeling. When I first saw it, I was thinking, yeah, I'll pick this up because I missed the other Catwoman figures, but now that I have this one, this is kind of the one Catwoman figure I'll get until something really massively better comes out, assuming anything that really strikes me ever does come out. I mean, it's a really nice looking figure, as I previously stated, and I probably will be stating again before the review is ended. But it just has balance issues, the articulation, posability kind of low, and all that. So let's jump right onto that aspect. Yeah. You have a point of rotation here at the wrist, single joint at the elbow, which is an okay range. Rotation at bicep here, ball jointed shoulder. I kind of don't like how the ball and arm go together because the ball looks a bit too large, but not a huge deal. Head only rotates, which I do have a problem with. I'd really like to see some up down on that because, you know, the character is a cat burglar, she looks up, she etc. I didn't comment on Batman's head movement either, but he's got a little bit of up and down. So, I mean, it's kind of annoying. The ab crunch doesn't really go far, just a small fraction one way, small fraction the other way. More back than forward. Rotation at waist, legs kind of very impeded. Like they just absolutely don't go very far here. The one perk though is where you typically have the, I guess some people might call it a T-joint or something, I forget what the actual term is. She doesn't have it, it's sort of invisible, so that's cool. She gets a really decent kick out, but it's just the forward back is like non-existent, and when I push it forward it feels like the joint might go. Although it's very shapely. It's a very shapely leg. Then you have rotation above the knee, single pin joint here at the knee, just an okayish range. And then down at the ankle, it's got a sort of good range. Again, no peg holes at the bottom, so if you had a stand you couldn't use it. And again, she doesn't stand all that great because of these shoes and everything, and the general balance is just kind of out there. I think you'd probably have to make like a custom stand, like get a piece of clay, just sort of stick the foot in there, let the clay harden, and then, you know, you can just use that. So I mean, that's one idea. Not sure how else that stuff is done though. Yeah. But yeah, at least all in all, it's a really decent Catwoman. Batman's also okay. I mean, out of the two, I'd say the Batman impressed me a lot more than I thought it would, while the Catwoman left me a little unimpressed. Should mention, though, that the skin tone's kind of decent, and the general sculpt is pretty good all around. It's just I wish they would have done a little bit more with in terms of shadowing, just to accentuate the breasts there. Even around the sides and stuff, too, just sculpt that a bit. You know, it's just me. Probably other people too, but mostly me. And then, of course, just giving her some way to reliably stand and somewhat better hip articulation. Also, I just can't help but think it's about high time that Mattel started using ankle articulation for their figures. Just tossing it out there. I mean, they do it on their He-Man line, so we know they can. But they just haven't brought it to their sort of mass retailish lines. Just disappointing. But yeah, this has been a look at the Batman Arkham City 2-pack, Catwoman, and Batman. I still have not picked this game up yet. I'm waiting for the Game of the Year edition, so don't ask me if it's good or bad. The first one, Arkham Asylum, was pretty decent. I did enjoy that. I like the story elements. A lot of the cutscenes and stuff are really cool. I mean, the general gameplay kind of got... I'm not even going to go into this right now. But yeah, until next time, folks.